Hey everyone, welcome back. You on with the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus interview series once again. And today I am speaking with Chip Schutzman, president of Miles High Productions. He's the founder and president. Miles High Productions is an online music marketing and promotion company founded in 2002. Chip is responsible for all business development and operations and is responsible for communication with over 25,000 websites and media outlets internationally. In the last few years, Miles High Productions has worked with over 150 artists and dozens of established record labels, including EMI America, Capitol Records, Blue Note Records, Warner Brothers Entertainment, and several other high-profile record labels and distribution companies. Chip has consulted and completed online marketing campaigns for several platinum-selling artists, including Barbra Streisand, Jewel, Gary Allen, Peter Frampton, The Bee Gees, Coldplay, Olivia Newton-John, Ozzy Osbourne, and Heart, and worked on a multiple CD compilation in honor of the 50th Grammy Awards in 2008. Chip currently resides in Los Angeles and is also a guest lecture speaker at several universities across the USA, including Boston University, Berklee College of Music, Temple University, UCLA, and NYU. So he's a very busy man, and we really appreciate him taking the time to talk with us for a few minutes today. Welcome to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus, Chip.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great, buddy. So just to kind of set the stage here, Chip, why don't you tell everybody out there what you've been doing the last couple of days? You had a pretty busy couple of days.
Yes, the last 48 hours, we have just finished 2 performances with Heart at the Hollywood Bowl, the infamous Hollywood Bowl. So it's been a stellar weekend with friends, family, and 2 outstanding performances by the Wilson sisters.
Oh, wow. Wow, I saw a couple of your little video clips that you posted on Facebook. Looked like a really great show. So that's very awesome. How did you get started? So let's take us back a little bit now. Give us a little bit about your background. How did you get started in the music business?
Well, I've always been a music fanatic. I mean, I got my first phonograph on my 2nd birthday, believe it or not. And by the time I was 6 years old, I already had 700 albums. Today, wow. I own probably over 70,000 recordings, so I would say I'm a musicologist first and a music historian. Love music of all sorts, from Spanish flamenco to Chinese folklore to American pop culture type music. I've really absorbed music. So by the time I was 14, I got my first gig at a local radio station right outside of Philadelphia, where I grew up, and I guess it's I haven't looked back since then.
Okay, yeah, you've done a lot. So, in the interest of the brevity of time here, let's get to Miles High Productions, which is your company. Can you tell us a little bit about what Miles High Productions does?
Sure. We're a full-service digital marketing agency. We handle digital marketing, promotions, PR. We also handle social media. We look at strategy development for emerging and developed artists, just basically helping artists reach the next level to their career, regardless of where they are in their career.
I rattled off a list of really big names like Heart and Ozzy Osbourne and Peter Frampton and stuff like that. But do you work with independent artists as well?
I do, actually. I would say for the last 10 years, I've focused about 90% of my time towards independent emerging artists. I feel indie artists actually really need the help much more so than, say, the established artists. So I've really taken, an interest in developing newer artists these days and really get more satisfaction out of, helping to change an artist's career from that dimension.
Now, how do you go about doing that? How do you go about building up? Say somebody comes to you, and they've got one record out. but they're, you like them. You've obviously decided to work with them. What are the sort of first sort of steps that you take?
Sure. I mean, I usually always sit down with an artist at the very beginning, really kind of design and consult with them a map and a timeline of how I would envision would be the best steps to take them sort of out of the box, whether that's to promote a new EP, a new single, a new video, a new tour. In most cases, it's usually a digital album that we're getting behind to help support and really lay out the steps. We look at what their plan is for radio. We look at what their plan is for PR, and then we kind of cross-tie a nice little marketing plan around that, depending on their budget, depending on their time frame, depending on their expectations.
Now, you mentioned radio. In the day and age of the internet, I mean, we're way into the into the internet here. Is radio still relevant? I mean, no, yes. What do you think?
It really depends what type of artist you are. I mean, for independent artists, there's not very much of a landscape playground for artists in that factor. So, internet radio, I really do work a lot of independent artists with to get them airplay, just to kind of get them on the map. It's sort of a precursor to, let's say, traditional radio promotions. But I really feel the traditional radio landscape is kind of diminishing away for artists of that kind.
Right. It seems to sort of be closed off to only the sort of tried and true trusted names, and occasionally somebody breaks through, with something like American Idol or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah. So what makes Miles High Productions different? I mean, I'm talking to a lot of people that do music PR. So what sets you guys out?
Before I started my company, I spent almost a decade over at House of Blues Entertainment developing their entire digital website and strategy up, working with a team over there, a wonderful team. And we were one of the first companies to do what everyone knows out there as audio and video webcasting. And we produced about 5,000 webcasts between 1996 and 2003 at the time there. So one of the things I took away from working at House of Blues was we were exposed to different forms of music every night. One night would be a reggae night, the next night would be a heavy metal night, next night would be a pop music act. So I really pride Miles High Productions on having a very same vision and outlook in terms of being able to work with artists of all genres, all styles. My training from whether it was as a child as a musicologist to working with all the different types of genres at House of Blues and writing bios for the company at the time really kind of primed me to open up Miles High Productions and offer and be able to work very comfortably with let's say, a rock act as well as a jazz act or a blues act of that sort. So, it just goes back to me being a major music lover and being very flexible with the genres and formats and styles that are out there to make sure that the proper demo audience is served with that music.
Okay, so an artist is somebody here, or somebody has a CD out maybe, or they have a band, or they think they're pretty good, or whatever. How do they know when they should reach out and say, okay, we need to hire a PR firm like Miles High?
I think it depends on a number of factors for the artist. Number one, obviously they've got to be ready, with the best potential possible recording that they could have possibly created and produced and put together. That to me is probably the most important thing at the end of the day. As Nancy Wilson says, it's all about the music first. So the music will really dictate, what my abilities as a publicist or as a marketer can do with that type of music. So I always urge artists, make sure you've got the best product that we can represent. Make sure you've taken the time to really think about, how you want to package, how you want to produce this, how you want to put it out, what your goals and missions are on the end result on the other side in terms of promotions and, placements and what is realistic for both parties, both for us and both for the artist.
Now, a lot of artists, there's a lot of, for better or worse, right or wrong, there's a lot of education out there available if you, do a little internet searching, maybe even take some courses on promoting yourself. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about some of the mistakes you see artists make when they're doing their own PR work.
Oh, okay. So I've seen all kinds of mistakes. I've seen how the artist pitches incorrectly, to not understanding what it's like to sit in the shoes of the other person receiving the email, whether that be an editor at the magazine, whether that's an on-air talent at an online radio station, whether that's a blogger or a podcaster. I've seen artists, basically use incorrect terms, not understand the time allowances for the other party to ingest the music, to figuring out, maybe that's just not the style of music for that particular outlet, not understanding their demographic audience to some degree. So I've seen all different types. I've, recently worked with several artists that will come to us, start a campaign. They haven't even recorded the music yet, and I'm very, very leery about that because I have no idea what I'm representing with that artist. So there's a lot of trust and faith that has to be built upon that, or their previous recordings have had to kind of give me some kind of inclination of what kind of style we're going into, what kind of music we're going to need to help promote and support for the artist. So there's a multitude of factors, from pitching to a finished piece of product to expectations. Some artists feel that once they've created the CD out of their basement, so to say, that they're ready to be on the front homepage of rollingstone.com. That obviously is a very unrealistic expectation. But there are artists out there that feel that they are above the mix there.
They have a lot of confidence.
They have a lot of confidence, but they lack the know-how and the direction, and that's where we try to help them in coaching, artist development. I mean, we are a marketing promotions company, but at the same time, as part of that service, it is my obligation to feel the need to help develop them from an artist marketing standpoint, to teach them about the workings of the industry, to understanding timelines and time frames, to understanding that our Rolling Stone contact gets 750 to 1,250 packages or emails a week on different artists. It runs the gamut, basically.
Okay, so let's just take one small aspect of this, and just go ahead and if you could give us a little bit of advice on it. An artist has a CD done in the can. It's good. They did the best that they could do. They've got the artwork. They've got everything together. They want to get reviewed. Mm-hmm. All right. Can you give a couple of tips on getting the website? Let's not talk about Rolling Stone or Billboard or some major thing. Let's just talk about there's tons of sites out there that review by niche, metal, blues, whatever. Okay, let's give a couple of maybe little pointers on actually getting your CD past the gatekeepers and actually getting somebody to review it.
Well, it's a matter of creating that relationship. I think that's the sweet spot in this conversation is, really opening up yourself as an artist and being genuine and sincere, and hopefully, how you create the content of your pitch letter to that editor or to that blogger or to that podcaster of why they should be listening to your music. Give them a reason why. Give them a story about who you are. make them interested in not, fabricating yourself or your music or your style, but being very true to, your piece of work or your finished product, and really kind of, explaining that or parlaying that kind of vision out to the receiving party, I think, is the key item there. But it is a build. It is a climb. It does take time. That's why a lot of artists tend to hire us, because they know we do already have those relationships cultivated on their behalf. We can save them, countless hours per contact, per magazine, per blogger, by, coming to us and having us pitch on their behalf, because we already have had those relationships called and nurtured over the last decade or so with some of these outlets.
On a personal note, I hope you don't mind me asking, could you maybe you've done so many awesome things. Is there something that stands out, some highlight from all the time you've been involved with this business that you go like, wow, that was just like one of these amazing moments?
The best day of my life was July 2nd, 2005, when I did some photography work for AOL for Live 8 London. It was the Bob Geldof 20-year kind of resurgence of the Live Aid brand. And working at Hyde Park in London, having the ability to shoot photos of The Verve, to Dido, to Madonna, to Snoop Dogg, to The Who, Pink Floyd, Robbie Williams, Paul McCartney, U2, Elton John. It was quite a day of a lineup. To me, that was one of the best stellar lineups I'd seen. I'm a pop culture junkie, so to see all those artists on one stage within a 11-hour period was phenomenal. I have not seen any lineup remotely close to that since then.
Fantastic. Is there anything else that you would like to mention, promote, talk about before we wrap up here?
No, I mean, I've been recently, becoming immersed in the EDM world, the electronic dance world. I think, DJs and the electronic sound is definitely a burgeoning, genre that is going to flourish over the next decade. I predict streaming is going to be a very viable system with users and music fans alike. Also over the next decade, I think the industry just has to iron out the kinks and figure out, what's going to be a sustainable business model for that entity there. So there's a lot of we're in the midst of a lot of changes and a lot of big question marks that are still kind of hovering over like dark clouds. I think the industry has to learn how to embrace those questions instead of fighting or using an old school method to utilize those what could be key advantages to a successful music industry in many years to come. So it's a matter of the industry harnessing the technology advances that have been provided over the last 20 years and making a sustainable business model with it. So I have to try and have faith with some of the big guns there that they know what they're going to be doing. There was something that you mentioned there, and this is, everybody is thinking about this, and are we going to ever get back to those days? When you made millions of dollars on a record, or is that gone? Depends what genre you're speaking to. So that's why I alluded to the DJs and the EDM.
Okay.
They are the new Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyds of the 2020s or the 2010s that we'll be looking at in 20, 30 years from now. They are, Calvin Harris made $66 million last year. It's not, it's not a whole lot compared to, let's say, a summer tour featuring the Rolling Stones, who could make hundreds of millions. But, it is definitely a genre and a format that is very popular. I mean, if you look at EDC, the Electric Daisy Carnival, which I attended last year, that was also like the second highlight I've ever had out of the 5,000 concerts I've been to see 440,000 people at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, with acts that I've never heard of, that can fill 50, 60,000 people in a stadium. That's quite telling. That's quite telling of how the future of our music and the music industry is heading into. So I am trying to put some investment into the EDM world and, looking at DJs and working more with dance music, because I do see a promising future there for those types of artists. Also, rock and roll, I always have to have the belief rock and roll will never die. So,
okay.
It's just going to be changed and transitioned in a different way than what it was. I don't think it's going to be what it was like in the 70s or 80s. It's just going to take on a new life breed of its own.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. From the mouth of somebody who definitely should know about this stuff. So, hey, Chip, thank you so much. Let's go ahead and plug your website, though, so everybody can get to it. That's mileshighproductions.com. And if you guys want to get more information about how you might maybe possibly interested in working with Chip and his team, please go to mileshighproductions.com. Is that right, Chip? Or
that's correct. Else? And
okay.
They can always send me an email, inquiry at chip@mileshighproductions.com anytime. More than happy to consult and speak with new artists. And as a teacher and a professor at Temple University, I really thrive on helping new musicians and getting them on the road to success with their career.
All right. Thank you. Hey, Chip, thank you so much. If you just hang on for 1 second as we end the recording here, I just want to close with you after we hang up. So, hey, guys, check out that again. That's mileshighproductions.com. Get a hold of Chip and get all the information. Chip, thanks a lot, man.
Hey, you got it. Thank you so much for having me today.
No problem.